God bless you. You are welcome today once again. We thank God so far He has been helping us. So today we have been going to the later part of verse 10 in which we have been looking since 3 days ago. And this will bring us to the end of our study 2. By the time we'll be meeting tomorrow, we shall be starting with our we will bring us to the end of study 3, and we shall be moving to our study 4 by the time we meet tomorrow. The later part of verse 10 says, Thy neck with chains of gold. Thy neck with chains of gold. The third beauty of the bride is concerned with the neck, and this speaks of the will. A fixed position of a person's neck is an indication of the extent of his will. For example, a hard, stiff neck indicates that the will is in rebellion and resistance. When we say stiff neck, like the book of Proverbs gives us, Proverbs chapter 29 verse 1. Proverbs chapter 29 verse 1. It says, He that being often rebuked hardeneth his neck shall suddenly be destroyed, and that without remedy. That is an example of a stiff neck, and that is talking about a rebellious or resisting will. Now, the bride's will was so transformed and joined to the bridegroom's will that he would adorn it with chains of gold. Listen, chains are composed of links, and these cuff links are a picture of surrender and humility. I believe you know what chains are. So notice also the word is plural, chains. There are two classes of chains which hang around the neck, picturing two different classes of surrender and humility. We learn surrender and humility in suffering as well as in prosperity of exaltation. We've spoken about this in our previous session. So from the beginning, the bridegroom prepared the neck, that is the will of the bride, with the kind of surrender and humility that will carry her through either suffering or exaltation. But you must know that suffering comes before exaltation. Do you remember that the curtain of Solomon? Remember? Okay. The word chain in the Hebrew has a variety of meanings. A garland, to fasten, to bind, a collar, to perforate, to pierce, a bead of pearl, gems or jewels, a strong or a chain. Different meanings like that for our chain. So the bride had learned to surrender her will to her bridegroom in every circumstance and situation. Therefore, her neck was clothed with chains. Listen, these are not ordinary chains. They are chains of gold, picturing deity and divine nature. Gold talks about kingship, deity, divine nature. So these chains represent the surrender and humility of the divine Christ who was made flesh. These links were formed out of the beaten gold that had been tried in the furnace of suffering and humiliation. Gold will not shine without passing through fire. So this gold has been beaten in the furnace of suffering and humiliation. As the bride had surrendered inwardly to do the will of God, she laid hold of the divine nature of the golden chains of a bridegroom, and her neck was made beautiful by what? By the chains of gold. Before you will be adorned outside, you must be ready to surrender in the inside. You must be ready to surrender your will to his will. You must be ready to go through suffering and humiliation, so that we adorn you with this golden chain. The Lord bless us and help us to live by this word and to take the necessary step in the name of Jesus. So by the grace of God, we have come to the end of our study 3. So by the time we meet tomorrow, we shall be moving to start on our study 4. And in the study 4, we shall be looking at the combined ministry of the bridegroom as the king and shepherd. Yes, we have seen the ministry of the king, and now we have seen the ministry of the shepherd. So we have been looking at the combined ministry of the king and the shepherd before we now move to the next one, which is the role. See you tomorrow. God bless you in Jesus' name.